Travis Wayne Goodsell. What I'm going to miss the most when I'm no longer able to do videos after all these 8 years and 8.9K videos is not the speaking, it's the making of pictures. Gonna miss that. But yeah, I'll be continuing on after all this is done, assuming certain conditions the day after. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has had to correct the world on the misinformation about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and its founding. Repeatedly, at least a dozen times, at least, probably just in my generation, have had to come out with a new version of church history to help people understand correctly the position that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has about the founding of Mormonism. So much so that they don't even call it Mormonism anymore, because Jesus came to Russell Marion Nelson, president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and was very angry with him that members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints were still using nicknames. And Jesus is angry with that, and he's offended. And so Nelson came out at the pulpit of conference and set everybody straight. So you're not supposed to use Mormon or LDS Church. Jesus is offended with those. So that was part of the additional changes in church history. So I'm going to go over the church's official position that they've accused me of violating, wanting me to take down the video content that goes contrary to their narrative. D. Todd Christofferson, being in the Strengthening Church Members Committee, has notified my previous bishop in West Valley to take down my video about how Adam fell. Going against the living prophets of Jesus. Going against the living prophets of Jesus. I'm an apostate. I need to be corrected, helped to keep my temple covenant path. So here I am, telling you the official narrative of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Joseph Smith was born 23rd December 1805. And when he was 14 years old, he was wanting to join the Christian church. But there were lots of different sects. There was the Baptists, and the Methodists, and the Presbyterians. And he wasn't sure which one to attend. He attended their various meetings as often as occasion would permit, but he couldn't figure out which one was the right fit for him. And so in the spring of 1820, he went into the forest, got down on his knees, and for the first time vocally prayed. And while praying, a pillar of light came from outer space, and two personages who said that their names were Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ told Joseph Smith that he shouldn't join any of those churches. that they are all wrong, that they preach for doctrines, the commandments of men, but deny the powers of seer, revelator, prophet, translator of Paleo, Hebrew, and Egyptian. And then they went away, back out into space. And Joseph kept attending the Methodist Church. Disobeyed Jesus. And one day, the Methodist preacher in Harmony, Susquehanna County, Pennsylvania. Not the one north of Pittsburgh, Susquehanna County. Church wants to make sure that you get that correct. It's not north of Pittsburgh. It's right between the Manchester Farm and Sidney Rigdon out in Ohio. That's not the one. Susquehanna County, where Joseph was arrested for glass looking. The Methodist preacher pointed this out. Hey, you got arrested on March 20th, 1826 for glass looking. You're rocking a hat. And Joseph Smith said, well, I had a vision in which I saw Jesus. He told me not to join your church. I can't keep my composure. I just can't. I can't be a comedian. I laugh at my own jokes. They're so hilarious. And this is the narrative. It's right there in the Joseph Smith 1838 history. They all ceased with the 12 apostles. And so Joseph Smith was in September 21st, the evening, going to bed, saying his prayers, concerned about how he's a sinner and that he violated the laws of Jesus Christ, that Eve is to blame for the fall and his shortcomings of the evils of woman. Did you forget the part where the church came after me for Adam fell? I'm the apostate, remember? I am misunderstanding my Book of Mormon, 2 Nephi chapter 2. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm illiterate, going against the living prophets of Jesus. And so, again, a space alien comes down, pillar of light, countenance like lightning, tells him about Egyptian golden copper plates that are 50 pounds, and instructs him on all of this. Joseph Smith would be the inventor of the light bulb. Yeah, that Thomas Edison guy, he stole it from Joseph Smith. I'm not going to call it gold. Copper is a conductor of electricity. Oh my God, if I have to explain the jokes. This is official church position. Willard Richards had to correct Joseph Smith by changing Nephi to Moroni. That's his name. And so Joseph was restoring the gospel of Jesus Christ, which plagiarized the New Testament directly into 3rd Nephi. So there it is. The gospel is now restored in the Book of Mormon. Christians got it wrong. And so he needed to utilize the rock and a hat to translate the Book of Mormon. And so by looking into the darkness of the hat, the rocks glow, and he gets inspiration as to what the Book of Mormon plates, golden copper, 50 pounds, not 200-pound gold plates. Mormons all get that, or ex-faux nevermos get that wrong. Church's official position, Joseph Smith is wrong, they're golden. Nelson came out in conference in April 2020. Special Saturday session with a video with the Relief Society president. Golden. He demonstrated how to use them. He knows he's the living prophet of Jesus, head of the church, with the keys of Peter, James, and John for the 12 apostles. Restored. That Methodist preacher, it's restored. And the Church of Jesus Christ doesn't deny the power, the titles of prophet, seer, revelator, translator. Well, wait a minute, they do deny the title of translator. See, as an apostate, I get things wrong. Titles. Don't deny the titles. And so Joseph Smith, started working on it. Martin Harris, who he got the rocks and a hat from in the well that he dug for him, stole the 116 pages. And so Joseph Smith was on timeout for just a month. Bruce R. McConkie made the change. Joseph Smith was wrong about the date. It's 1828, not 1829. Bruce R. McConkie knows better. He knows no better then than he knows now. If the church is going to present this as their narrative, don't blame me. Don't blame me. Don't blame me. Joseph invented the light bulb. He was a sinner for original sin of Eve falling. Those evil women. Showgirls. You knew I was going to do it eventually. If you've been following, you knew. And I fully support her. So, then April 6, 1830, Joseph Smith finally, with the help of Oliver Cowdery, was able to finish the Book of Mormon in just a few months. And with the 6 members, despite the parents and the families being present at the same time, let me get the list of names that I had to have as a reference. Don't memorize. So, Joseph Smith, Oliver Cowdery, Hiram Smith, Samuel Smith, David Whitmer, and Peter Whitmer. None of the fathers, none of the mothers, none of the other family members. Just those 6 boys. started the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, 6th of April, 1830. Joseph Smith was a little slow to figure out that he was supposed to create his own church, own Christian church with Jesus. And so missionary work ensued. Church was so popular, everybody wanted to join. And because of this popularity of Christianity and Jesus, he was obviously persecuted for his Christian Jesus beliefs. And people were trying to murder him. People were accusing him of being a Christian Jesus lover, having his own Christian Jesus church. They tarred and feathered him and beat him up, tried to murder him. But he kept on going because he had the testimony of his spiritual witness feelings to carry him through. 1837, in Kirtland, he had started a bank, and it failed. So he was accused of cheating, stealing from people. And it became necessary to then go to Missouri. And so in far west Missouri, April 26, 1838, Joseph Smith changed the name of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. April 26, 1838. And May 19th, 1838, Joseph Smith then went out to Spring Hill, Missouri. It's all documented in the Joseph Smith papers. They've got the original document. It shows there was some faded ink on paper, and they continued to write from there because it shows the fresh ink that began with the faded ink previously on the paper. And then this is where we got the story. It's all true. They said it is. Spring Hill, Missouri. And Joseph Smith gave a tour for Mormons that were with him and said, this is Adam-on-Diamond. This is where Adam was. And those stones right over there, that's the altar where Adam offered sacrifice. And he had his wives with him, not just Eve. And he brought them from Kolob to the Garden of Eden. Eve was just one of his wives, brought from Kolob to the Garden of Eden. And this is where Adam told his family of the latter days, that in the latter days, at that location, Jesus Christ would return, and Lucifer would be in attendance and hand over the keys of government of the United States of America to Jesus, and then take over the United States, run the United States as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. All right there, in the background context of section 116. May 19th, 1838. And so, the very next month, July 8th, 1838, Joseph Smith then ordered Newell K. Whitney to stop hanging out with the Danites and come to Adam-on-Diamond to be the bishop. And yeah. Also on July 8th, 1838, let's see, Thomas B. Marsh is supposed to stay in Zion. And Mormons are supposed to leave far west Missouri the 26th day of April next to work on the building spot of the temple. John Taylor and Johnny Page and Wilford Woodruff and Willard Richards are supposed to fill the places in the 12 who had become apostates. And then July 8th, 1838, also, Joseph Smith finally got around to a new economy in which tithing, well, let me just read it for you. I don't want to, church, I'm going to read it. It's in the text. Verily, thus saith the Lord, Jesus, I require all their surplus property to be put in the hands of the bishop of my church in Zion, Noel K. Whitney, Adam on Diamond, for the building of mine house, for the laying of the foundation of Zion, for the priesthood. So in the Book of Mormon, Jesus to the Nephites said no priesthood, no priestcraft. So now in 1838, July 8th, July 8th, Jesus now restored priestcraft. It's in Scripture. It's canonized. And for the debts of the presidency of my church. But this is only the beginning of the tithing of my people. There's more. Got to pay more. After that, those who have thus been tithed shall pay an additional 1/10 of all your interest annually. President Benson has come out and made this very clear. Your wages. Don't think you can skip out on paying tithing and rob God by saying you don't own the company and you don't get interest. No. If you're a slave, you get any kind of wage, you pay. Don't you dare rob God, because you're going to be kicked out of Zion. Verse 5. This is a standing law for my holy priesthood, because women aren't supposed to work. Their original sin. They need to be put in their place. Barefoot, pregnant, in the kitchen. Not showgirls. So, because of the persecution against Mormons for their religious beliefs of Christianity and Jesus, Mormons were slaughtered at Haun's Mill. The massacre. Innocent Mormons, women and children, slaughtered by the evils who don't like Christianity and who don't like Jesus. Don't want religious freedom for Mormons. And so Thomas B. Marsh, during this time, under the law of tithing, his wife decides to steal the scrapings of the milk and not give it to Sister Rigdon. And so Sister Rigdon narked on her, and the home teachers were there on the spot to say, now, Sister Marsh, you gotta hand over the strippings. No. So it escalated to the bishop, escalated to the stake president, escalated to the 70 presidency, then it escalated to the 12 apostles, and then escalated to Joseph Smith. sorry, Sister Marsh, you've got to hand over the milk strippings. And Thomas B. Marsh was defending his wife's honor to the very end. And because of his loyalty to his wife, he apostatized and left the church. Joseph Smith had him excommunicated for his apostasy, for not handing over the milk strippings to Sister Rigdon. And Thomas B. Marsh, furious that he would be excommunicated over spilt milk, went and signed an affidavit perjuring himself to the governor of Missouri that the Mormons, being led by Joseph Smith, are slaughtering people. Hans Mill, no. And so, yes, all lies, framing and blaming Joseph for being the leader of the Danites, when clearly he's not, from section 117. And so, the war went out. People were going around telling everybody, hey, we're at war. Missouri is attacking us for our religious Christian beliefs in Jesus. You need to defend yourselves. We need to take the state of Missouri. They will not leave us alone to worship how we may. And Joseph Smith was the leader of these Danites now, going around burning down the houses, raping the women, stealing their loot, murdering the men, taking it all to Adam-on-Diamond. Thomas B. Marsh, as the president of the 12 apostles, did not indicate that he knew that he had sent missionaries to Adam-on-Diamond to set up the church in Adam-on-Diamond. He conveniently forgot. And there were some Mormons who refused to fight in defense of truth, justice, and the American way of liberty, and for our homes, our lives, our wives, our children, our families, our creeds, and title of liberty. Those apostates had to leave the church. And so David Whitmer left, and others left as well, because they could not endure the truth of Jesus and his Christian church. Okay, so time goes on, 1842. Joseph Smith is a master mason now of the Scottish Rites Lodge in Nauvoo, and appoints Brigham Young as the new quorum of the 12 missionaries to have an endowment text written up for the new temple that they're going to be building in Nauvoo. And Joseph Smith has Brigham Young assigned also to make underwear with a square and compass on the boobs for Mormons to wear to remember to keep their temple covenant paths that Brigham Young was then going to write. And so Brigham Young put in the garden story of Adam and his wives and the fall because of Eve, original sin. Those women always getting men in trouble. And the evils of the fake Christian preachers who worship the devil. Not a beam and mote whatsoever. So all this was getting started and set up. Joseph Smith would then go on to talk to the Relief Society and set it up, organize it, the first women's organization in the United States of America. And he did not give them priesthood office or the priesthood. Nope. Nothing to see there. You're misinterpreting it. Move along. They were just allowed to be a group, like The View. In 1843, Joseph Smith has an angel appear to him with a flaming sword and wings, because Moroni didn't have wings, neither did Jesus Christ or Heavenly Father have wings. Now a winged angel appears to Joseph Smith. He's got a flaming sword with him. This is all documented, guys. All documented. Why would they lie? And said, you were going to have to practice polygamy. And even though the person put that it was 1832 or 31, nonetheless, Joseph finally in 1843 begins practicing polygamy, as the angel had threatened him back in 1831 or 2. So, 11 years later, for being told to do it immediately or you're going to be smote down. So 11 years later, he then establishes polygamy. And so in 1838, he had sexual relations with his 15-year-old housemaid, Fanny Elgar. Those were sexual relations. It wasn't rape, even though she was a child and he was an adult. Not rape. Sexual relations. Polygamy. See, Joseph Smith knew about polygamy. He was told to practice polygamy, but he didn't officially get it set up until 1843. And so there were 23 women that he was sealed to in marriage. And he had come to Emma and said, you have to allow this, otherwise you're going to be destroyed. She didn't really like it, but she had no choice in the matter, and so Joseph was able to marry these 23 women. And there were other underage girls. Just like Mary, she was 14 years old, so it's okay. Mary, the mother of Jesus. Is he going to leave a note? Oops. They always have trouble parallel parking. Oh my God, what are you doing? See, because of my disobedience in 2008 for filing a petition for a redress of grievances in the state of Utah against the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for their abuse of me, for my disobedience, D. Todd Christofferson stepped in to make sure that I would be disappeared for 6 years of my life, tortured unto death, as an incentive to remind myself that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is true and that I shouldn't go against them. And in the course of that, I therefore lost my driver's license. And so in the state of Utah, for me to get my driver's license back, I can't just renew it because it's been too long. I have to redo all the testing, both the written and the actual driving with no car, because that was also taken from me. So you got to obey the church, otherwise there's punishments. It's for your own good. Can't be an apostate. Can't resist God. Jesus is true. As I'm going over the narrative for you. And where were we? Polygamy, 1843. Brigham Young would go on to talk about in 1874, while in this valley, in a talk that he gave, published in the Journal of Discourses, that Joseph Smith was too stupid to come up with it, that it was actually Brigham Young that came up with it as just the president of the Quorum of the 12, not the head of the church, when he was on his mission, not fleeing the country, in England. That it came to him out there while he was having sex with other men's wives while they were out working and the women were at home. I mean, converting them to polygamy. And so, yeah, when he got back, he was talking to Joseph, and Joseph was, hinting that he might know of it, and Brigham Young was trying to help him out, that it's supposed to be for polygamy. So finally, in 1843, Joseph Smith finally establishes polygamy, but Brigham Young was first. And so Joseph Smith is now sealed to these underage girls, other men's wives, and other women who no guy wanted, including my third great aunt, Desdemona Fulmer. And so any talk about this book that Brigham Young had and put it in a black binding, little black book, and from January 1846, all of that is fake news. Don't listen to that. Nope, 1843. It's canonized. Section 132. Emma, she wasn't willing to allow it, and so Joseph Smith had to do it in secret behind her back so that she never knew. So don't ask her and her son, Joseph Smith III, who started the Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, now called the Community of Christ, led by a female as the president of the church. Original sinner leading the Community of Christ. That's why they're apostates. Women aren't supposed to lead, let alone speak in church. Right, Paul? Woman is to blame. That's the true Christian way. Original sin. And so they continue to live their lives in polygamy with the temple endowment and underwear and building the temple. Joseph Smith is now running for president of the United States of America. And so Joseph Smith, as part of his plan from 1838 to take over the United States government, was running for president and had a council of 50 organized that he put Brigham Young in charge of. as part of his plan that when he took office, he would then use the Council of 50 for martial law in the United States and punish all the Christian believers in the false Jesus, so that everybody now worships the true Christian Jesus of Mormonism. And Brigham Young also was collecting money from the Mormons for the building of the temple in Nauvoo at the same time. So Brigham Young was very busy as the president of the Quorum of the 12 missionaries, the Keys of Peter. He was pretty much doing the whole church. He was running the whole church. Joseph Smith is running for president. He can't be bothered with running the church at this time. So Brigham Young is doing it all. Joseph Smith gave him permission. It's okay. So, word got out that Joseph Smith was practicing polygamy. John C. Bennett had joined the church and had been practicing polygamy, having sex with other men's wives, and he was administering a toxin, potion, whatever, elixir, to give to the women to have an abortion. Well, because he had told Joseph Smith this, Joseph Smith said, no, women are not allowed to have abortions. No contraception, no birth control, no abortions. It's a sin. And so he was excommunicated for abortion. Not for polygamy. Joseph Smith would never be that hypocritical. So John C. Bennett was pissed and went around telling the Nauvoo expositor that Joseph Smith was practicing polygamy. Wouldn't confess that he was causing women to have abortions. And so a meeting they ordered by Joseph Smith was unable to attend that particular meeting, and so he just said, you do it in my name without me. And so they gathered at a council meeting in Nauvoo to discuss the Nauvoo expositor's publication of libel, scandal, fraud, fake news, trans lefty terrorist actions. And they all agreed unanimously that they are going to burn down and destroy the press of the Nauvoo expositor. It was all approved by Joseph, even though he wasn't able to attend that meeting. He approved, obviously, because they did it. And so Joseph Smith was then arrested for being a terrorist again, just like in 1838 in Liberty Jail, but this time in Carthage Jail. He's being framed and blamed. And so the Warsaw Lodge was not happy with a life sentence. They wanted blood. They wanted the death penalty for Joseph. And so they violated the orders of the governor, came riding on horseback to Carthage Jail. They painted their faces black, and they all came storming up the stairs, single file, because it was too narrow. And a witness said they put their rifles down because it's too narrow and not enough room for the humongously long rifles they had. But nope, The truth came out by both Willard Richards and John Taylor, who survived miraculously by the hand of Jesus, who reported that their rifles were poking through and bullets blasting everywhere, and on the ammo were engraved trans lefty propaganda of hate terrorism. None of this came out in the trial. It was all conspiracy, cover-up. One of the shots through the door would have hit Hiram Smith right here, but instead it curved and hit Hiram Smith right here. He then fell to the ground, twisting around, and then they came over and where was the other place that they shot him? Right, that's right, up through the jaw. So yeah, he's on the ground, and so they stormed the room and then got in a low position to shoot him up in the jaw with a pistol rather than a rifle shot. Even this was a pistol, not a rifle shot. So we're not sure where they got the pistols from, but hey, you know, we don't want to go over the ballistics. We don't need to. They confessed and turned themselves in. We don't need to go over ballistics and trajectory and any of the evidence of the crime scene. The guy turned himself in. Joseph Smith, while the mob was packed inside the room, came over to his fallen brother, weeping like a sensitive snowflake. And so somebody then shot him in the back with a pistol, not the rifle. But we don't care. They turned themselves in. And then Joseph Smith came over to the window. Nobody was there because they were all in the room. And gave out the Freemason widow's mite call. Nobody came to his rescue. They betrayed him as a fellow Mason, and then fell to his death at the well, for which they all filed out of the room down to the well and then began shooting him over and 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 over. We'll ignore the fact that you had to tamp down the ball and the gunpowder, aim, fire, more, etc., etc. Because the weapon kept changing as to what it was. First, it was a bolt action, then it became a Mauser, a rifle at one, or a pistol at one point in time. But the original report was the original bolt action in court at the hearing. Dallin H. Oaks covers all of this in his book. So true. He was a former prosecutor. He knows how to, he knows. Why would he lie? Living prophet of Jesus. You Christian haters. So Joseph Smith and Hiram are dead. 27th of June, 1840. Brigham Young would go on to honor the memory of Joseph Smith by finishing the Nauvoo Temple and putting Joseph Smith's designs of the inverted pentagram around the whole building. Joseph Smith, not Brigham Young. You know, John C. Bennett being denied communion with those Danites, went and formed his own Illuminati Halcyon order. And Brigham Young would dedicate the Nauvoo Temple, not in January when he was doing all the baptisms and the second anointings to become King of Kings, Lord of Lords, the great high priest, but in May 1st, the anniversary of the Illuminati, 1776. And so Mormons were upset with this, that he didn't do it on April 6th. Orpheus Cutler was one of them, and apostatized from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so Brigham Young, being persecuted still, not being allowed to worship his religion and Jesus in the United States of America in violation of the First Amendment, had to flee the country. And the natives in the Salt Lake Valley were mean and abusive and wanting to murder Brigham Young, and so he had to, defend himself so that he can establish the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as the kingdom of Jesus in this valley. And the United States took over his land and been persecuting him ever since. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has not changed anything from Joseph Smith. It's all the same religion. Nothing has changed whatsoever. Not that trans-liberal patriarch who Kimball just excommunicated. And the 70s and the stakes. Nope. That was just a dream I had. My dad was not in the 70s. Made a high priest when it was dissolved. Nope. That was just a dream. It's the same exact church with the same exact quorums that Joseph Smith had. Nothing has changed. So missionaries go around the world preaching Jesus and the Book of Mormon as Christian, another testament of Jesus, because obviously he comes from outer space to the Nephites and restores the gospel to them. Other sheep I have which are not of this fold, I got to go to them now. So Nephi is going to be in charge. And people tried to murder them, the three Nephites. There's lots of sightings of the three Nephites by Mormons all over the world. Oh, I saw the three Nephites. I was on my mission in the Philippines, and there were the three Nephites. It's so true. Book of Mormon is true. So there you have it. Narrative of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. If you don't believe it, you're in the wrong, and you're an apostate. You need to back off and leave this church alone. They did nothing wrong. This land belongs to them. And so Trump needs to hand over the government. March 14th, 1820, or 2020. Dallin H. Oaks, speaking to brand new mission presidents going out for 3 years, told them that 2020 was going to be a test run for the second coming of Jesus, with the whole Adam Diamond handing over the keys of the United States to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to restore polygamy, child-bride polygamy, adultery. It's all spiritual. It's, don't be perverted on this. You and your pornographic minds. Don't even get me started on the actual translation of Greek. I'm the apostate. What do I know about porn being prostitution in the temple? What do I know? Porn is nudity and sex. I'm the apostate. And so in 2020, Oaks was confessing that they were in charge of everything that happened that year. Creeping death, the stock market crash, the rigged presidential election denied to the rightful winner, Donald John Trump. And therefore, they were just, tourists on vacation at the Capitol when the Capitol Police, for an unjustified reason, started shooting them. So they were merely protecting themselves. They were there to smear poop on the walls as a tribute for their loyalty and patriotism to the United States of America. And those trans-lefty deep state Dem terrorists just vied. So with Biden winning, the church then began funding Islamic terrorism. Putin would then take the money that the church had given him back for the 2018 announcement of the Russian temple to then invade Ukraine. And then on October 7th, 2023, Islamists, having been funded by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, making a pamphlet how Mormons are Islam too, then were able to assemble all Islamists around the world when Hamas then defended themselves against the big bad mean Israelis and took prisoners, not hostages. The whole world, they don't get fooled and are calling for the big bad mean Israelis to stop and allow Islam their religious freedom. And they just won't. Fortunately, Fox News sees through all of this and sets the record straight on the truth. Which, weird. Why Fox? Oh, right. Carolyn Levitt's Christianity, the coming of Jesus in Jerusalem during the midst of the war. Which Nelson did his tour of Jerusalem and said, Jesus is coming here. Oops, that's Mormon Jesus, not Christian Jesus, Carolyn. Right, so then Carolyn came out and talked about how the earthquake in Utah the evening of Tyler getting assassinated, or it's Tyler assassinating Charlie Kirk, was Christian Jesus's wrath against Mormon Jesus's apostate condition, apostasy, and evil for murdering Charlie Kirk. Yeah, holy wars all. And so, there you have it. And so Nelson, this year, has tried to provoke Trump by mocking him and defying his orders as the president of the church, rightfully projected by AI in the 2024 election. I just got a new message from Google this morning. Before I got the typical message from Google, in which they are now advertising new features. New features are coming to Chrome. See how Chrome keeps me safe and helps you get things done with new AI features. And then I have the right to choose. No thanks. I prefer to be cyber-terrorized by D. Todd Christofferson for being an apostate and going against the living prophets of Jesus. Or I can view the video. And then popped up, can't update Chrome. Chrome couldn't update to the latest version, so you're missing out on new features and security fixes. Reinstall Chrome. But you said I can't update Chrome. My system's obsolete, as Windows keeps telling me every update time. I have to pay for a whole new system. Should we find out how much they cost these days? I'm not being cyber-terrorized. That's strange. It's an incentive to remind me to keep my Temple Covenant paths as an apostate. D. Todd Christofferson is in charge of ordering Microsoft and Google and YouTube to attack me, to keep me in line, and remind me that I'm in the wrong and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is true. About Christian Jesus, with a wrongly ascribed symbol of Lucifer's inverted pentagram. It's not Lucifer's, it's Jesus's. Seriously? So I see that I've been looking at books by me previously. Pick up where you left off. Alright, so HP PC desktop computer. Alright, so the first one on the list is a desktop computer, HP Tower PC for home business student, Intel 6 Core i5 12500 Beat i7-11700 32 gig DDR4 RAM 1 terabyte. I thought you were doing 2 terabytes these days. Anyway, PCLE SSD, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, RJ45, keyboard, mouse, Windows 11 Pro, Wendbo. $650. I can get it Wednesday, September 24th. Well, let's just pay for it right now. Oh, whoops, I don't have any money. The incentive for me to not be an apostate was financial punishment as well, right, D. Todd Christofferson? The Valentine's Day Massacre last year. I was in the wrong. I was going to post a video on love. They had to shut me down in advance. Here's another HP Elite Desk SFF600 G9 business desktop computer. 13th generation Intel 16 Core i7 1377 processor, Windows Pro 11. $850. None of these have monitors, by the way. I have to buy the monitors separately. Here's another one for Windows 11 Pro, $650. Here's Windows 11 Pro for $500. None of these are 2 terabytes. They're all 1 terabyte. Here's one for $660. And I got them all lined up. $590, $600, $690, $850, $880, and this is not. N10 mini PC Intel N100 up to 3.6 gigahertz, 16 gigabytes DDR4 RAM 5, 12 gigabytes M2 SSD, 4K UHD dual display, HDMI, Type C Vesta, Wi-Fi, BT, Gigabyte Ethernet, mini desktop computer for home and business. $180 on sale from $250. Save 5% on 2 select items. Monday, September 22nd. So I'm not sure what that is and how that would work. It's claiming it's a mini desktop computer for home and business, but how it does it, yeah. I just need a monitor. I'm not technologically smart enough to know how that would work and function. Oh, here we got one for $1,100. That 2 terabytes. There we go. So here's another one for $760 for 2 gigabytes. What? 1 terabyte. There it is. So apparently there's only the one for 2 terabytes. Or the 2 for 2 terabytes. Yeah. None of these will allow me to play my Civilization 3 complete game. That's obsolete. As a Windows XP. So, yeah. So Nelson came out after Trump started rounding people up who were illegal and on his list of Antifa. Nobody believed me when I was telling you that this is what Trump was doing, and you got to obey Trump. He's the president. All of this list, you're all Antifa. You all got to go. You all need to be locked up, put in asylums, or in concentration camps, or get out of our country. That's Trump. He's the president. You voted for him through AI projection. Why would they lie? And so Nelson came out and said, we are defying Trump's orders. We will not do it. We are a sanctuary state. We are going to give aid and comfort to trans lefty terrorists in the state of Utah. So Governor Cox, doing the church's will, refused to deport the illegals, and just the other day made illegal citizens out of 98 persons who were supposed to be deported. And so Trump, he's getting pissed. These Mormons trying to coup the government as trans lefty terrorists, pretending to be Christian, pretending to be MAGA. Trump's catching on. He's not a dummy. He's a stable genius. He's not going to be fooled and be told lies and then believe the lies and spread them over his pulpit in the Oval Office. Never. Trump's too smart for that. He'll outsmart you. And so, yeah, all of this was supposed to be done, as Section 119 says, to get rid of the actual apostates of the church, which are the trans-lefty terrorists. But Trump didn't do it. And so the church had to figure out another plan. This is why the church, after General Conference in April, had nobody scheduled from the Quorum of the 12 to talk with the young adults in devotionals that they'd been doing year after year after Nelson came out and said, we're no longer going to do devotionals. Just like he was doing away with the priesthood session of General Conference, the third session on Saturday. And so he allowed women to be the third session in October conference, and then he wanted to do away with the third session altogether, and Travis Wayne Goodsell did a video exposing that Nelson is trying to silence women. People were furious, especially women, the original sinners, and demanded that the church have women's conference in October. So fine, and then he came out and chewed everybody out. I get to decide how conferences will be run. And so the next year, no more third session. It's now whatever they choose it to be. So, thus, April 2020 was the bicentennial celebration on the one Saturday only. Because Nelson prophesied that there'd be creeping death. Mormons did the videos. So, yep, October conference coming up. Come and listen to the words of the true Jesus of true Christianity from true members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's in the middle of the name, duh. Christians don't have the right name. Methodists, what kind of God is that? Catholics? The downward motion of a hole? What the hell? Sounds like the devil to me. That new pope forgetting the 1700th anniversary of the Nicene Creed. And so, yeah, as in the same exact pattern, just escalated this time. Right before October conference, Nelson now pulls this stunt of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and everybody screws it up. The investigation is completely botched, and they got people to focus on Tyler as a trans-lefty terrorist, whom, according to Bill Maher last night, plays with furry games. What the hell is that all about? But nonetheless, everybody is still accepting the narrative that he did it. He's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty in a court of law with evidence. by the prosecutor. And he just perjured himself in court. He lied. I've been going over those lies with you. There is a cover-up going on. And they got Trump, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints under Cox, got Trump to lie to start his war that he's been tacoing out on. The church wants Trump to declare war. Finally, he did it. Right before conference. Cutting it close. Cutting it close. But yeah, they had to wait for somebody popular in MAGA world to come to Utah. Nobody likes Utah. Mormons, they ain't Christian. So yeah, this is what's going on. Because this is not a test run like 2020 was. They're going to assassinate President Trump through this process. They want their kingdom back. Nobody gets it. Nobody gets it. Nobody wants to listen to me. YouTube now says, hey, Travis, you want views? You gotta pay. Pay to post. I need to make that change too. Got some additions to make. Did I put it on here? Probably. That's not, but somewhere I wrote down, I'm sure. Maybe if we go over this, I'll find it. Oh, yep, there it is. Yep. Yeah, because another little girl trying to emulate other women that are becoming influencers and getting paid for YouTube videos. Little girls also try on YouTube. And one of those little girls I noticed yesterday got banned by YouTube. Sweet little girl trying to, make a name for herself, get a career, not be a trad wife. Punished by YouTube by orders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for their community guidelines. So, apparently Mormons are thieves, as one of the guys who were waiting in line to ask a question for Charlie Kirk is a podcaster, video maker, whatever. And when the shot rang out, he fled like everybody else did. But when he came back to recover his camera equipment and such, they were gone. The FBI says, no, we didn't take them. They're not. And so, yeah, the likely conclusion is that Mormons stole it while running out. And so it's on camera. But, the FBI says they won't investigate that. Just like they won't investigate who actually shot Charlie Kirk. A guy turned himself in. Why do we need to investigate? He turned himself in. Obviously, he's guilty. Only the guilty turn themselves in. Nothing more to see here. Move along. But people are furious with the security. Fox 13 also got involved, putting in an official request for the security plans that they're allowed to do, I guess, and they're refusing to release their security plans to Fox 13. Nothing says cover up like go away. Leave us alone. And also they're trying to put in a request for the review of the investigation and the autopsy and the reports, and government says, no, bleep you, get away from us. We're not going to make one. The guy turned himself in. Can't you just accept that? So, I'm going to tell on D. Todd Christofferson to make sure your bishop keeps you in your place, Fox 13. We've had to rescue others working for you and put them to work for the church's KSL. Tamara Vaifanua and Big Buddha, who became Little Buddha. So, Dan Evans, you keep your place. Remember your temple covenants. We put you in as counselor and Draper. We can take you out of the stake presidency. Putin has extended his invasion of Europe. He's now in Estonia now. So yeah, Putin has begun the war on Europe, starting the invasion. So, last week, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, on their church news that I follow every day, as an apostate, I'm feeling guilty, and so I secretly go to the church's website daily to find out what I'm missing and why I'm an apostate, and to try to correct myself, to come back to the church that's true about Jesus and Christianity, the true Christianity. Not talk about this Jewish Christ. Oh, you're a Christian thinking that you're the true Christianity and not the Church of Jesus Christ. Oops. You got the wrong idea of why I'm an apostate. And so they confessed to telling Trump to get the hell out of Chicago when Trump was going to go into Chicago. Get rid of all of the trans lefty terrorists from Chicago. Liberate them. And nope, the church said, we're responsible. We kicked Trump out. We've got our operations in place in Chicago. You stay away, Trump. And so I notified Trump in an email saying, hey, church posted that they were responsible for kicking you out. Did it in the video for you. And D. Todd Christofferson was mad. And so, yesterday, see, don't mess with Trump. He's too smart. He's a stable genius. You can't fool him. He went back into Chicago. Surprise! Travis told me what you're up to. But he's not taking down the church. Trump, they're going to murder you. So, we have a shutdown looming on the 30th of September. And so, yeah, the trans, lefty, deep state, dem, terrorist press were all sensitive snowflakes in a panic months ago about how they need to shut down the government to put Trump in his place. And so, yeah, yesterday, the MAGA showed them who's boss, and they went on recess early, and they're not coming back until Monday, the 29th. 2 days to work on a deal to keep a shutdown from happening. So, yeah, that's going to be fun. Because normal pattern of practice under Trump since he took over in the first term has been that the Democrats are not liking what the financial bill is doing to America. The MAGA are specifically putting stuff in there to trigger the trans left. I can't, it's too long. What? It was better with the deep state. And so they're all sensitive snowflakes crying over how Americans are going to be hurt by the new bill, and MAGA is just laughing at them, and it's just a joke. We're not actually going to do it. The Democrats, in order to save the government from being shut down, always cave. And then MAGA says, well, the Democrats voted for it. It was just a joke for us. So expect something like that this time around, too. And, yeah, I've got to do something on... I forgot what the other one was. Oh, yeah, the YouTube extortion. And then the Trump gold card. Yeah, he lowered the price. Apparently people are whining about how $5 million is too expensive. That's now the platinum card I saw. It's coming soon, by the way. And so for $1 million, with approved Department of Homeland Security approval, you can then, if you can afford $1 million, you're in. They're just legally covering themselves here. So yep, 1 million gold card visas. Then there's another thing for skilled workers and laborers. They get a $100,000 fee application. Then they can come and work. So yeah, if you remember, the apostate interpretation of Joseph Smith's words that I've been going over with you, along with the Book of Mormon and the interpretation of the Bible, is about going to Zion, an exodus away from the great and abominable Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to build Zion for Mormons who want to have agency and not be bound and yoked to Jesus through tithing. And so I've been discussing with you guys my concerns and how Mormons are making this more complicated for me. And so now with $1 million rather than $5 million, yeah, that's a lot cheaper to get Mormons from around the world to come to Zion. I see how everything is getting set up for it. We're just so close. We're just not able to cross the finish line. And it's so frustrating for me. I have been so trunky way back in the beginning. My #1 video that YouTube deleted the stats for was made because the little woman at the time demanded, say original sinners, that I tell her the date to go back to Missouri. Hadn't found the Joseph Smith papers and haven't found 19 July 1840 yet, but all Mormons know what I'm talking about. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints says no. It's right here. Can't you tell that this is a place of peace, safety, and refuge? And so, yeah, I've been wanting Zion my whole life. And so, yeah, when I knew about the solar eclipse, I'm like, yes, finally. And then 8 years later, technically 9 years later, we're still waiting. Because Oak said 2020 was a test run. Can you imagine how frustrated I am? Oh my bleeping hell! But yeah, they're trying hard. They want it done before conference. So we'll see if Trump will finally follow through rather than tacoing out. They're googly moogly. So yeah, it's cheaper to get you guys to Zion now. So you may not understand what I mean by the picture that I'm going to be putting in about make love, not war. Even with the meme that I put with it. I found some other awesome posters from the era. You need to understand, first and foremost, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints officially hates the hippies and the hippie movement, Woodstock and all that. Oh, they were frothing at the mouth of how evil and sinful they were. Demanding peace through sex. Free love hippies. So, in ABC4 News last night, that's what I am referring to here, is they're now having girls do a campaign of hugs, not hate. Apparently there's been some miscommunication from grandma's generation to her grandchildren. Because we're in Mormonville, sex is a sin. It's the original sin of Eve, the woman. And it's porn. Hilarious. Yep. And so yes, I have the donkey in 2 places. I had done it originally, and then I went, oh my god, the donkey. I just did the donkey, and I forgot to put it in the, oh my god. So now I put it in the picture for you. And so I'll have a separate donkey also there. Democrats have changed their logo. They've figured out a platform finally. Shout, shout, shout at the devil. And if you hadn't caught on, when the GOP flipped it with the Nixon campaign, now the Democrats, it's already from Brigham Young. Remember the literal church history that I'm an apostate over? And so, yes, we need to get this out of the way. I've been telling you, nobody's listening to Trump. Trump told you in advance what he's going to do. I told you about Project 2025, Agenda 47. Everybody is in denial. No, he wouldn't actually do that. He's just kidding. He wouldn't cross that line. He's learned. We can control his behavior. So, yep, he does it. And then everybody's outraged. and it becomes a new normal, and then he does one of the others, everybody's outraged, it becomes a new normal, then he does one of the others, everybody's outraged, it becomes a new normal. You're not seeing a pattern here? Why are everybody in denial of this? You're all anti-fascists. You're all on his hit list. Why are you redefining Antifa now? And already did that one. And yeah, that's okay. We're done. So there you have it. We're all going to die, and the church is going to get their kingdom back because Trump isn't taking down the church.